Barnbougle Dunes golf course, located in Tasmania, is about as far from civilization as possible. But Barnbougle's story isn't simply about its remote location. Rather, it's about how this golf course came to be. It started as all great golf courses do, with a dream. But it continued on due to the connection of two unlikely men. The first, Greg Ramsay, was a young caddy with ideas of grandeur that a world-class golf course could be built on Tasmanian farmland. And Richard Sadler, a potato farmer who knew absolutely nothing about golf, but was willing to listen long enough to believe that the impossible just might be possible. After spending a year caddying at St. Andrews, Greg Ramsay returned home, believing a link-style golf course could be built here.
I was originally born in this area. I spent time here in Bridport, but when you're on the bay, water skiing or fishing, you don't really see the depth of the dunes here. And I went to the highest point in Bridport when I was back from overseas, and I saw the width and depth of the dunes here at Barnbougle. And I talked to my parents who knew Richard through the farming community, and I just gave him a ring about coming and having a look over the sand dunes. And Richard didn't return the calls for a while. I think he thought it was a fairly crazy idea.
He came knocking on the door. He started by ringing up, and my wife took the message and she said, "There's a young bloke that wants to talk to you about a golf course down on the ocean." And I said, "He's got to be mad," so I didn't answer him.
You seemed like a guy that wouldn't take no for an answer. You know, Richard wasn't answering your calls. You kept persisting.
Yeah, I'm probably a bit of a nagger, and when I get something in my mind and I believe in it, then I really, I like to push it as far as I can. And obviously, sometimes I push, like everyone, you push things too far. But
and he kept ringing. He wouldn't take no for an answer, which is the story of his life, I think. And he just kept persisting. In the end, Sally said, "Look, I think you should listen to him." So he came around, and we went down and had a look at the site, and he got all excited. And that was one of the few days where it was blowing horizontally off Bass Strait. And I thought, no, this boy's just not sure what he's all about.
Barnbougle Dunes opened in 2005 to great acclaim. It has been named the best public course in Australia and honored as one of the 50 best courses in the world. Greg Ramsay knew there was only one man to fulfill his vision for Barnbougle Dunes. Tom Doak is one of the most sought-after designers, with 3 of the world's top 50 courses to his credit.
When I first emailed Tom, I went up in a little ultralight, so you know those tiny little lawnmower planes, and about 100 metres in the air, I just took all these photos along the coastline here, and I sent it to Tom, and Tom was obviously pretty excited about it. And he said, "Where is it?" And I said, "It's Bridport, Tasmania." And he emailed me back and he said, "Greg, where is Bridport? Because I've got an atlas, and it's a very good atlas, and it's got no Bridport in it." So that's, I remember that.
Greg Ramsay rang me, and I guess Tom at the same time pretty much, and said, "Why don't you come down and look at this land and see if you think you can put a golf course on it?" And I came down, and we all kind of drove down the driveway out from the sand dunes and said, "That'll never happen." You know, Greg read us the "I'll make you guys famous" speech, and Bruce said, "If I've heard that speech once, I've heard it 100 times. Those things never happen."
New possibilities came with the dawn, and even a stubborn Tassie farmer was beginning to soften. It's kind of hard to believe for such a young man to think that he could do this.
No, I suppose I did tell him one day that I had this dream that I'd build a tunnel under Sydney Harbour, and I never got to do it, but I thought it was a great idea, but someone else eventually did it. So I think youth is passion, and passion is dreaming.
You've been called the dreamer. Is that how you see yourself?
I'm sure that, I daydream, and I always have these crazy ideas popping into my head, and yeah, you've got to sometimes throw 90% of them out. But I just feel really lucky that we've been able to get a really fun crew together, and we've had a lot of fun and worked hard, and this little dream's come true, which is really nice.
But before work could begin on the golf course, a deal first needed to be struck.
I said I'd underwrite it, and that's when a couple of designers pulled out a contract and said, "Well, read this." I said, "Well, I don't know anything about golf, I don't know what I'll be reading. I thought this was going to have to be a trust job. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, do you trust me? And they said, yep. I said, well, I trust you guys, so let's throw that in the bin and do it like gentlemen should.
So you had people here that came to your house, sat at your kitchen table, you signed no contracts, no lawyers, handshake or just on faith?
Well, yeah, I think we had a handshake. I think it was a handshake over quite a few beers, but it was a handshake. I suppose everyone in their life waits for something that could make a difference, and all of a sudden I thought, well, this could be the one thing in my life that makes a difference. And if I was good at golf, it'd make a difference, or if I was good at something else, but this was one opportunity. I thought, well, if I let it go, no one will ever know whether it could have been a great golf course.
Being 24 at the time that you got this, crazy idea going, do you think it worked for you or against you?
Oh no, it's definitely worked for me. It's been, it's been a great learning experience for me, and we've had such a lot of fun. We've all made a lot of really, really great friends.
As I look around and see what Barnbougle is today, so much has changed, yet so much has stayed the same. Barnbougle Dunes is destination golf. It literally is in the middle of nowhere. Located on the north end of the Tasmanian island, near the town of Bridport, the course looks out on the Bass Strait. There is no real estate development ringing the course, no resort hotel. But for golfers wanting to max out their Barnbougle experience, there's a row of well-appointed cottages, each designed to house a foursome. And at the end of the day, the views are spectacular.
We have 93 metres to the pin. The pin is cut on 20 metres onto the green. You've got a little bit of wind behind you.
The passion for Barnbougle runs deep, so much so that Stan Smythe, one of its original caddies, has put his thoughts about Barnbougle to paper. And you're telling me that you have a poem that you created after spending some time here.
When I first came here, I came and played a game of golf here prior to it opening. And the sun was setting over the dune, and I said to myself, that must be the first part of a poem.
Will you share it with me?
I certainly will. I certainly will. And it goes like this. As the sun sets slowly over the dune, the company's good and my swing is in tune. All around me is beauty like I've never seen. It's on every tee bed, every fairway and green. There's lovely seabirds and wildlife abounds, and the waves on the seashore make a mystical sound. Am I in heaven? Are they angels' tunes? No, it's just the wind through the marram grass at Barnbougle Dunes.
That's lovely. While in Tasmania, I've learned the true meaning of persistence from these two men. One, a business-savvy farmer, the other, a young idealist. Together, they've created one of the world's most beautiful public golf courses in one of the most unlikely places, on the island of Tasmania. I'm more than 10,000 miles away from my home, about as far away as I can be. Life sure does move at a slower pace down here, which suits me just fine.